I am so happy you guys came across this video. This is the tryout for read-alongs with my story, The Wanderers of the Dead. I hope you guys enjoy, wherever you may be. This will be about a 5-minute and 56-minute video, something like that. And if you will, please give me any suggestions or anything of that manner. And here we go.
The battle raged on, explosions rocked the ground beneath their feet, and gunfire echoed through the air. That faithful day, two soldiers, John and Marcus, had been fighting side by side for years, and they thought they had seen it all. Fighting through the trenches and the rotten smell that came with it. Their feet ached, they were covered in mud, and were tired of it all. But even though it was hard, John and Marcus grew a brotherly bond. They both were like a determined family that knew they would make it back home with their families again. Someday, when the gunfire finally subsides and they can finally kiss their moms again. But even for two extremely determined men, nothing could have prepared them for what was about to happen. Through their line of sight, John and Marcus saw a long road of the dead soaked in the mud of the trenches. The smell had gotten much worse than John said. Jesus! It's that damn smell again. 2 years of fighting the enemy, and I still believe that their dead produce a much more foul smell. Marcus was delighted in agreement and said, "Oh John, I agree with you, but not everyone on this continent can afford deodorant, especially if they stop breathing." John looked at Marcus with a goofy smile and said, "Ha ha ha. Come on. You know what I really need. Here we are in this dump and stinking up ourselves with the dead we have known for years." "Oh, just shut up, John. Nobody knows what you are saying anymore." Yeah. Fine, but that's why they love me." John and Marcus were walking and joking around until John suddenly stopped and froze like his hair started to rise up. He said suddenly, "Marky, do you hear that?" Marcus froze as well and was confused. "What are you talking about?" "We are the only ones here except for the dead dash." They both started to hear a strange whistling sound. It was a haunting melody that seemed to come from nowhere. At first, they thought it was just the wind, but as they listened more closely, they realized it was something else much more sinister. Suddenly, John pointed up at a figure that appeared in the smoke and dust. It was some sort of tall cloaked deity, surrounded by an eerie glow with dark red eyes. The figure was whistling the same tune they had heard earlier, and as it approached, they looked at the dead soldiers on both sides and could see that it was bringing them back somehow. At first, John and Marcus were overjoyed to see their fallen comrades rise and join the fight again. But as they looked closer, they realized something was terribly wrong. The soldiers that had been brought back to life were not themselves anymore. They crawled out of the muddy pits of the trenches and glared at John and Marcus. They were pale, lifeless, and their eyes were glazed over. Then suddenly, they grabbed their guns and started to point them at the two friends simultaneously. The battle raged on once more, and John and Marcus found themselves fighting against their own zombie-like war buddies and zombie-like enemies. It was a nightmare come true, and they knew they had to fight for their lives to make it back home in one piece. Marcus watched in horror as the shots came running down on John. His lifeless body stared up at Marcus's teary eyes. The figure slowly approached a distraught Marcus and began to whistle again. John screamed at the figure, "Hey, HOI! What the hell are you doing?" John began to move slightly and looked up at Marcus with a menacing glare. His friend was back to life, and before Marcus could say anything, John lunged at him with a bayonet. He tried to reason with him, to make him remember who he was, but it was too late. His once trustworthy friend and loyal soldier was now a mindless killing machine, driven only by a hunger for flesh and blood. In the end, Marcus was forced to kill his own friend, just as he had been forced to kill so many others in the war. He knew that he would never be the same again, that the horrors he had seen would haunt him for the rest of his days. But for now, he ran until his heart almost gave out. Until the crying soldier finally fainted face down in the rotting mud of blood. He woke up with nurses strapping him up and reporters asking him about the experiences he had fighting for his country and why he was found laying in a mud of blood. Marcus was silent through all of it, with nightmares awaiting him to fall asleep again. He was now alone and started looking out his hospital window. He froze in place when he saw John and the figure looking up at him, both whistling simultaneously until his dead comrades joined in. They stopped and John said something. But Marcus couldn't hear him, he could only make out the words. "Don't look for me." All of them turned around simultaneously and wandered off into the unknown. End.
Okay, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for reading along. I will be back for another video, and see ya.